This is my mother, Anjirlic Aminu.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
I'm gonna ask you some questions about the day 9/11.
Okay.
Alright. How did 9/11 affect the U.S.?
Look at the camera. Say it again.
How did 9/11 affect the U.S.?
Well, the 9/11 incident where the tragedy in New York City, where the two trade buildings were demolished completely and thousands of people were killed, allowed most Americans to feel a sense of vulnerability that they could be affected by terrorist activity.
Okay. What would you do if one of your family members was killed by 9/11?
I usually have a memorial service for people who are killed and need to be remembered. So if one of my family members was brought to an untimely death by an event like that, I would mark the day with the memorial service so that way I could remember that person.
Cool. Um, what would you do if you were president at the time?
If I were president of the United States at the time the incident of 9/11 happened, well, I would have been the first black woman president in the United States. So therefore, I would have done something really insightful. Firstly, I would have comforted the American people that any type of other tragedies that have the opportunity of happening would be squashed, eliminated, and tightly observed, so that way the American people would feel a sense of safety in their borders and comfort. And then B, I would have put together a task force to make sure that incidents like this would not happen in the future.
Wonderful.
And those are the two things I would have done.
Okay, wonderful. How badly do you think the attack affected us?
Well, the initial attack or incident of 9/11, where the towers were demolished and the people were killed, killed so many people. And because it killed so many people, the ripple effect of how many people were affected, if it's 3,000 people killed, that's 3,000 families, that's another 70,000 people injured, that's workers that are now still suffering from illnesses and post-traumatic stress syndrome. The ripple effect affects millions, and it does for the long term. So I think it was an incident that's marked by a lot of tragedy and had a tremendous effect on the American people. And I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. Why do you think Bill Clinton didn't do anything after the other terrorist attack in Europe?
Well, the terrorist attacks in Europe may have made the Europeans feel vulnerable because of their easy access from different countries to their land. So probably because Bill Clinton was such a far way away, the intelligence that he was relying on to protect his country made him feel like it wasn't necessary in order to make any type of sudden motions or movements as a result of the type of activity. But also, it is not everyone proclaims what they're going to do prior to it being done. So I'm sure he was doing everything he could to keep the American public safe. However, the will for people to do something destructive was just greater than his ability to be able to stop it from happening.
Okay.
He wasn't president then, no way. Why would it?
When do you think America started to react?
I think the camera person may have a valid point, because I thought that Bush was president at the time as opposed to Bill Clinton.
Well, I have information that Bill Clinton was president at the time of the terrorist attacks in Europe that might have affected the U.S. with U.S. Property in Europe. So I was thinking that he probably should have stepped in and done something to make sure that his people were protected.
Well, I was going to say Bill Clinton, in my opinion, was an excellent president. He did a lot of very remarkable things, and he ensured that a lot of people were able to feed their families and do a lot of positive things. And he had such a good command of what was going on internationally that I feel like even though he may be criticized for the what happened prior to 9/11, I feel like he's wrongly criticized, just like he's been wrongly criticized, and the attempt to impeach him ended up happening as well. So I think he probably is catching a lot of flack, but I don't believe that that's happening in a proper manner. I think that is something he didn't have anything to do with.
Okay. When do you think America started to react from the incident of 9/11?
Well, I think the initial shock of 9/11 made it necessary for people to put a plan in place so that way they can could make some type of action or reaction. And as soon as they had a strategic plan on what happened, then I think they were able to move to reaction. I think that moving too suddenly to react when something happens without anyone taking responsibility for what happened is a bad move, because that means that whomever did the incident, if they react and try to put someone else in trouble for it, then the person who is responsible is still outstanding, and they may have attacked or hurt someone else instead. So I think quick reaction is necessary, but decisive reaction is much more necessary than quick reaction.
Okay, well that's all, and I thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Aminu.
You're welcome.
Okay, now stuff.